you're taking the multiple choice section of the AP Language and Composition test, the hardest questions are going to ask about tone, style, and rhetoric. Hi, I'm Dr. Clay Zuba, inventor of Zubafy. Welcome to video 4 in my series on mastering AP multiple choice questions for the AP Language and Composition test. In video 3, I taught you process of elimination in 3 types of distractors. Today, in video 4, I'll show you how to apply those same strategies to advanced reading questions, questions about tone, style, and rhetorical choices. Here's what we're covering. What makes advanced questions different from basic questions? The 4 specific types you'll encounter, how the 3 distractors appear in these harder questions, and how to practice with real examples from the test. These questions separate the students who score 3s from those who score 4s and 5s. Yes! Let's begin. Basic reading questions ask you to identify what's happening in the passage. Advanced reading questions ask you to explain why the author made choices and what effects those choices create. Here's the difference. A basic question might ask, what is the main idea of paragraph 3? An advanced question might ask, the author uses short declarative sentences in paragraph 3 primarily to ... See the shift? You're not just comprehending content anymore. Here, you're analyzing the relationships between form and function, between what the author writes and why they write it that way. Advanced questions assume that you already understand the passage and have strong reading comprehension. They ask whether you can examine the author's craft and explain the rhetorical effects of specific choices. This requires moving beyond what does this mean to why did the author choose this technique and what does this accomplish. Advanced reading questions fall into 4 main categories. Understanding these categories helps you recognize what each question is actually asking. Type 1. Tone and attitude questions. These questions ask you to identify the author's attitude toward their subject and explain how that tone functions within the author's argument or purpose. They use language like the author's tone conveys or the speaker's attitude suggests. Type 2. Word choice and syntax. These questions ask about specific language choices, why the author uses particular words, phrases, or sentence structures, and what effects those choices create. They reference specific lines and ask about function and effect. Type 3. Rhetorical strategy. These questions ask how the author organizes or develops their argument. They focus on structure, shifts in tone or focus, and the relationship between parts of the passage. Type 4. Purpose and effect questions. These questions ask why the author includes specific details, examples, or sections, and what those elements accomplish within the larger argument. They often use language like primarily serves to or functions to. All 4 types require that you analyze author's choices, not just comprehend content. You need to explain the relationship between what the author does and why they do it. Before we practice with real questions, let's review 3 types of distractors that you learned from video 3. These same distractors appear in advanced questions, but they're harder to spot because the questions themselves are more complex. Distractor 1, the 2-part trap. Remember, this is an answer that has 2 parts, but only one part is correct. The AP knows how you think, and they'll try to use that thinking to trick you. If one part is right, but only one part is right, the whole answer is wrong. This is especially common in advanced questions because they often ask you to identify both what the author does and why they do it. Distractor 2, true but irrelevant. This is the type of answer that says something that's true about the passage, but it doesn't answer the question that's being asked. You recognize accurate information and stop reading carefully. Advanced questions use this trick constantly. They'll know you see something true and pick it without checking whether it addresses the specific question. Distractor 3, vague but specific. 2 answers might seem similar, but one is vague and one is specific. The specific answer is almost always correct. Advanced questions reward precision. Vague answers try to sound safe by being general, but they don't actually explain what's happening in the passage. As we work through our practice questions, watch for these distractors. They're the same patterns you learned before, just applied to harder questions. Say, wait, are you finding this video helpful? What? That's amazing. That pleases me. You should drop a like and subscribe right now so you and others like you can continue to learn from Zubafy. Yes. Now let's work on some practice advanced questions. Practice question 1 is a tone and attitude question. This comes from the passage about Crazy Horse by Joseph Marshall III, a passage examining the Lakota warrior's reputation for humility. Question 5 asks, in this description of the United States Army's plans to capture and herd all the Lakota onto reservations at once and for all, toward the ends of the 4th paragraph, the author's tone conveys which of the following? Step 1, read the question. It's asking what the tone conveys, not just what the tone is, but what the message or attitude is that it communicates. Step 2, return to the passage. The phrase is, capture and herd all the Lakota onto reservations once and for all. Step 3, think about what you notice. The verb, quote, herd should stand out. You herd animals, not people. Thus, the language is dehumanizing. This word choice reveals disapproval. Step 4, read all answer choices. A, disapproval of the Army's dehumanizing treatment of the Lakota. What? Awe at the Army's sophisticated strategies and superior weaponry. C, indignation at the Army's previous failures to follow through on the plan. Choice D, pride in the Army's foresight and superior managerial skills. Well, you probably see that the answer is A because I kind of told you what the answer was when I analyzed the passage. But I also want to show you how to use your process of elimination so you can see how that applies to advanced questions. Answer B is true but irrelevant. Maybe the Army had sophisticated strategies, but martial tone is not awe. The word heard signals criticism, not admiration. Eliminate B. Answer C is true but irrelevant. The passage does mention the Army's plan, but Marshall's indignation isn't about their previous failures. It's about the dehumanizing nature of the plan itself. Answer D is obviously wrong. The tone is critical, not proud. Eliminate D. Step 6, select answer A, move on, do not look back. The word heard reveals disapproval, and the answer specifically identifies what Marshall disapproves of, the dehumanizing treatment. Notice how true but irrelevant distractors work in advanced questions. They say something that's accurate about the passage, but they don't answer what the tone conveys. Let's look at practice question 2. This is question 9 from the same passage, asking about syntax. It says, the passage constructions, quote, he became known in paragraph 6, sentence 2, and, quote, he was known in paragraph 7, sentence 2, suggests that author holds which of the following beliefs about Crazy Horse. Step 1, read the question. We just did that. It's asking what the passive voice suggests about Marshall's beliefs. Step 2, return to the passage. The phrases are he became known and he was known. Think about what passive voice does in step 3. It removes an actor. The active voice would say people knew him as. Passive voice shifts the focus entirely to Crazy Horse. Step 4, read all answer choices. Step A, stories by his contemporaries offer a credible record of Crazy Horse's life. B, Crazy Horse's habits and appearance are documented thoroughly by historians. C, common knowledge supports the author's first-hand observations about Crazy Horse. D, Crazy Horse's reputation and appearance are unknown to present-day readers. Step 5, eliminate the wrong answers. Answer B is vague but specific. It mentions documentation by historians, which is vague. Answer A is more specific. It identifies exactly what source Marshall is drawing on. Stories by Crazy Horse's contemporaries. You can also eliminate B then. Answer C is true but irrelevant and is also factually wrong. Marshall can't have first-hand observations of Crazy Horse, who died in 1877. Do the math. Use your logic. Eliminate C. Answer D contradicts the passage. Marshall is writing about Crazy Horse's reputation, so clearly it's not unknown. Use your logic. Step 6, select answer A. The passive voice suggests Marshall is reporting collective knowledge, widespread stories from Crazy Horse's contemporaries. This question demonstrates the vague versus specific trap. Answer B mentions historians generally. Answer A specifies contemporaries, the exact source. Finally, I've got one more practice question for you. Yes. Question 6. It asks about structure. It says, in the last sentence of the 4th paragraph, the author's focus shifts from ... The sentence reads, but we Lakota don't remember him primarily because he defeated Crook or Custer. We remember him because, in spite of his larger-than-life achievements on the battlefield, he was a humble man. Step 1, read the question. We did that. It's asking about a shift in focus. Step 2, return to the passage. Notice the word but that signals a shift. Step 3, think about what changes. The paragraph starts with Euro-American historical perspective. This sentence shifts when we Lakota. Step B, read all 4 answer choices. A, the turbulent 19th century to the peaceful present. B, the Oglala Lakota, the 6 other Lakota groups. C, Crazy Horse to General Crook and Lieutenant Colonel Custer. D, Euro-American history to Lakota cultural memory. 5, eliminate the wrong answers. Answer A is true but irrelevant. The passage does mention the 19th century, but the shift is not about time period. It's about perspective, so eliminate A. Answer B is just wrong. This passage does not shift to discussing other Lakota groups. Eliminate B. Answer C, that's backward. The sentence shifts away from Crook and Custer and back to Crazy Horse, so eliminate C. That leaves you with just select our answer D. You should select that answer and move on. The shift is from Euro-American historical accounts to Lakota cultural values. This shows true but irrelevant again. Answer A mentions something from the passage, the 19th century, but it doesn't identify the actual shift happening in this sentence. I just showed you how all three distractors work in advanced questions. The two-part trap appears when questions ask you to identify what the author does and why, and you need to verify that both parts are correct or AP will trick you. True but irrelevant is the most common distractor in advanced questions. You see something accurate about the passage and stop thinking carefully about whether it answers the question. Vague versus specific separates good answers from great answers. Advanced questions reward precision. General statements are not enough. You need to identify exactly what the author is doing and why. This process, you'll note, my 6-step process, is the same as in video 3. The questions are just harder. But if you stay aware of these distractor patterns, you can still eliminate all the wrong answers systematically, leaving you with just the right answer. Let's review what you know now about advanced reading questions. They ask you to analyze authors' choices rather than just comprehend content, examining why authors use specific techniques and what effects those techniques create. The 4 main types are tone and attitude questions, word and choice and syntax questions, rhetorical strategy questions, and purpose and effect questions. The same 3 distractors from video 3 still apply. The two-part trap, true but irrelevant, and vague versus specific. Stay alert for these patterns and verify both parts of two-part answers, and always choose specific answers over vague ones. In video 5, I'm going to teach you how to master the writing MCQs, which has completely different questions and require you to think about revision rather than analysis. Drop a comment telling me which distractor type tricks you the most in advanced questions, and I'll try to help you with additional advice. Thanks for watching Zubafy. Come back for more Zubafy.